Who's coming on in today? Yeah, baby. Another day in paradise. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. The craziness. Man. There's woo, world. I have to say, good morning, Lexi. I have to say, the world always comes up with surprises for me. There's always a little surprise or a little bit of nugget that I wasn't expecting, and it just like, what the fuck? Are you serious? So, um, there's a lot. There's a lot here. There's some things I want to share. Some things I got I can't share on here, but was in a class. Yes, it was like 5 hours. I have to go back and listen to it. Like it was just crazy. The information that we went through, and it's through the Leo King, and he does a thing called hypergate, and like fuck me. Um it's crazy. It's crazy some of the information when you start doing and working with astrology and that. And then you realize that some of the things that you do learn or you do understand, it gives you a better idea of how to look at the world around you. But then again, then you go like, well, not everybody's prepared to hear all this shit. It's a little bit it's very intense. So some of the things that I feel, and especially as we're coming into this uh new full moon in Capricorn, like this is us looking at how we are needing to regenerate ourselves. And how is that regeneration happening? And it really plays in because it is conjunct with Pluto, and Pluto's going back into Capricorn. This is really looking at what is our roots? What is it that we want to establish? How do we want to come together with our ideas, with our community, with what we are wanting to project and put out there into the world? And it's very important to begin to look at that because our world is going to be changing in a very dramatic way, and I don't think a lot of people are really prepared for it. And when I say dramatic, this year was just mainly 2024 is kind of like the feeling of getting you prepared because 2025 is a year of upset, chaos, craziness, the height of the war, and how things are going to be dramatically changing in the world around us. This is where we are going to be finding, because as we are moving into 2026 is the recoding of a lot of the way that we do things in our life and our DNA, etc. This moon has a an energy with it that is getting us to take a real look at things. Like Capricorn is about structure, it is our bones, how we're held together. It is about how we are putting things together, what are the blocks that we are creating within our lives, and who's with us to create these blocks. When I see a real Capricorn and they're happy, like when they're doing a project, they get like, whoa, and they want to share it and they want to, you know, let you know about it. Pluto in Capricorn was the catalyst that was getting us to see what wasn't working in our society, how things were not aligned with us in our world, and how can we realign it? What is it that we need to realign? And I find too that this is really, especially because Capricorns are like the influencers. They want to tell you things, they want to influence you. And I feel like this is going to be the end of a lot of influencers within the next year. And we're not going to be seeing them. We're also going to be witnessing too, uh, after, and I'm going to say after this full moon, is that be careful what you say online. That's my warning. Be very careful what you say online because we are going to see a dramatic change in how things and how people are going to be pursued or prosecuted or eliminated. And so it's going to be very important in how and what you say, um, especially after this full moon. And so this is really going to take us into a new um, era of censorship. It's going to take us into a new era of how we are wanting to bring forth the message to the world. And so we will have to be, we will have to watch our words and how we say things. And some messages, whether you think they're positive or not, may not be what the censorship bodies want to have out there. And I'm not saying not to say things, I'm just saying you have to be extremely careful in what you say, like, even for myself. And I don't think a big influencer. I don't even think I am an influencer. I call myself more of a guide or a spiritualist, or I'm a person who wants to bring forth love into the world, not to necessarily be to influence you to do that. Influencing, I think that's up to you to do it or take that. But this is where we are going to be finding how to find the right way to create. And we will see that ones who have already aligned themselves and put themselves in positions um, to do that, really taking a full steam ahead kind of thing. So, one of the things that I said, if you're able to, and you have a company or you're doing something, is to be incorporated. Uh, and one of the reasons to be incorporated, because the biggest corporation in the world is the United States of America. That's the biggest corporation in the world, right? So you got to look at it's like when you're incorporated, you are able to do things a lot more per se than somebody who isn't. I am not incorporated. I'm what they will call a sole proprietor. So a lot of things that for me to do, it will be limited in what I want to do until I figure out how and what I want to incorporate. And that's going to be a huge piece going forward with that. The other part too is that we got to look at what, with this full moon in Capricorn and what Capricorn rules. It does rule governments, it does rule institutions, it does rule corporations. And we're going to be seeing a restructuring in that. We're going to be seeing a restructuring in how these things are formed. And it's going to be quite a topsy-turvy kind of energy when we are doing this and going through all of these um, transformations. And one of the things too is that truths are going to come out, and sometimes the truths that are going to come out are going to be very difficult to believe. So, for instance, everybody asks me about Pierre Polyev. Pierre Poilievre's he's a politician. He's the best choice that we would have, for a leader in our country, but he is a politician. Some of the things that he's going to do, people are not going to like, because you got to think, if we're in such a fucked up mess as a country right now, him just taking leadership isn't going to just change it. There's going to have to be a change in policies. There's going to be a change in the taxation. And we have to get ourselves out of debt. Now, one of the things in getting ourselves out of debt is going to war. And that's going to be a big one for Canadians. They don't want to go to war. They don't want to do that. But for a lot of these countries, in order for them to be able to restabilize their countries, is war. And I've said that before many years ago, that the one way to get us out of something was war. And a lot of people don't like that. They think it's peace and kumbaya and fairies and all of that. Unfortunately, no, we can do a lot of prayer. We can do a lot of positive works when it comes to all of this. But what we are entering into is a time of reconstruction and dismantlement, and how that reconstruction and dismantlement will look like. Some of the things that, I mean, right now, I mean, we just saw um, the whole thing with Trump, and then being the head of the RNC, and um, how that narrative is being played out. Now, yes, everybody's behind him, and it's a big do, and it was like, I mean, it was quite remarkable to watch that. I mean, I've never really sat and watched a Republican National Congress convention, and just watching it was just like, wow, it's crazy. Seeing this whole thing. What I found very interesting that was there too is the Teamster Union was there at the RNC. That's interesting. And what Zuckerberg just said in an interview, plus he just reinstated Trump back on Facebook and Instagram. And he said that what happened to Trump was the most badass thing that he has ever seen in his life, with the assassination attempt. And even with that assassination attempt, I mean, you can call it a miracle, because I mean, the thing is that he went off script and he just happened to turn his head, you know. However it was set up, or if it inside job, whatever it was, just the whole thing about the act of it, um, and him being there, and I think that was just a big, all of a sudden, that had to happen in order for people to come together in some way, right? So this is where we are going to be witnessing a lot of crazy weirdness of the world as it unfolds. And this is going to be catapulting us into, this full moon is going to be catapulting us into a place that is going to feel nutters. And we're going to be witnessing a lot more of the nuttiness happening. And I feel like we're going to be witnessing a lot more miracles. But the thing is, I think it was last year, or was it earlier this year, that the church just redefined miracles. And it's funny that they came out and said that, because we're going to see a lot of fake, things that seem to be, people are going to follow, that are like spiritual and that, but something that are not spiritual. So there was a redefining of the miracles and the settings of what a miracle is. And I feel like that plays a very important part, as we are going to be having to go back to really look at, and that's what Pluto goes back into Capricorn, what we really need to look back on within our lives, and how we need to set that foundation going forward as we go into Aquarius. It's it is going to get to extremes, especially in 2025. That's why we have this Pluto Capricorn. That's why we have this second full moon in Capricorn, because it is a restructuring. It is a really, really looking at how we are preparing ourselves for the craziness that's going to be unfolding, and the war that's going to be unfolding in 2025, and how we are able to prepare ourselves physically, mentally, spiritually, how we are going to be, mundanely. I mean, here in Calgary, another main just broke, and I posted, it's funny, I posted that on my Facebook page, and nobody's seen it. I don't, they probably hid it or something, that it's not being shown. But it's just in Bowness, where the first one is. And our one of the things, the what do you call it? Or what do you call it? The mayor said was that, we're going to be in this for several years, this drought thing. And I'm just like, oh, wow, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, but I mean, she was mentioning the drought thing. I mean, a few months ago, back in September. She was saying, "Oh, this summer we're going to have a big drought and blah blah blah." Then we had all this rain and everything else, and then the water main broke. So these crazy acts or these craziness that we're going to be witnessing in our own community, in our own place, is going to be where we have to really take the actions to create something, within our own selves and within the community around us, and that's what this moon is. I'm pretty sure she said in an interview that she's trying to program people to conserve. Oh, probably. Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't put it past her. She is evil. So I don't listen too much to what she says. Honestly, I hear bits and pieces of what she says, but I don't sit there and listen to her because it's to me, it just feels like a lot of somebody throwing up all the time. That's what it feels like. So this is where this moon is coming in to really get us to look at it, and look at things in a deeper way. And some of the information, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and um it is it's not even half my notes. It is going to be where mostly I just want to say to people that it is time to just, if you haven't been preparing, if you haven't been really looking at the things that you want to do, and if you've been sort of humming and hawing and trying to figure out what the fuck you need to do, you got to get up off your ass now. You can't just sit around. If you are waiting for something on the outside to happen for you, it's not going to happen. You will have to be the one who gets out there and makes it happen. You're the one who has to go out there and make the connections. If you're not out there making the connections for what you want, it's then fuck it. you know this full moon is about, how am I getting out there? How am I going to create something? How am I going to put things together? It's not about sitting around and hopefully waiting that I just did a YouTube video that maybe something's going to happen. It is about, it is about getting out there and connecting. Who do you know? Right. And finding those connections, integrating with those connections. I mean, for me personally, I'm just thinking, I'm like, whew, it already sounds so exhausting because of how I am in my, with, anyways, how I am. But how am I going to create connections with other people? How am I going to be getting out there? And that's within your community, because it's going to be really community based, and how you are really connecting with that community, and what you are wanting to create within that community. So for me, it's like almost where it's like, okay, I have to really rethink things. And so I think all of us have to rethink things in what we are wanting to do. If you have a business and you've incorporated your business, this is where it's like, I'm going to say, why aren't you networking? Like, if I had a brick and mortar store, one of the biggest things I would be looking at is like, what's happening in my community? Where can I volunteer in my community? What's going on in my neighborhood? And if you're sitting there and you're complaining, well, there's just all this, crap in my neighborhood, there's all this garbage in my neighborhood, or this isn't, well, who do I contact with? How do I get involved with maybe an organization to help clean it up? What are the local things that are going on? Right? So this is where it's starting to look at, what is it that I can connect with? Who can I connect with? I mean, when people look at today's druid is a person who is helping to clean up their community. Today's druid is a person who is part of the school system. They are, go to the school board and listen, find out who's the person on the school board. They're the person who goes to the meetings once in a while and finds out about things, right? I feel like you're talking to me. No, I'm talking to everybody, Charlene. This is where the Capricorn energy is. Capricorns aren't recluse. They're not a recluse energy. They're an earth energy. They're about building. They're a cardinal sign. Cardinal signs don't hide away. Cardinal signs are out there. They have to be out there. They have to get connected. When a cardinal sign is working on something, they want to share it. They want people to be a part of it, right? They don't want to just go away and say, "Oh, this is all mine." No, you know, they want to be, and this is the positive part of it. And that's even for myself. It's the positive part. How can I get reconnected with the people around me? And I really have to start thinking outside of the box. So maybe I got to join the senior center that's, a couple blocks down the way and get involved with the senior center and start talking to some of the seniors. Get involved in the garden club. What's the garden club in my neighborhood? What do they do? I don't know. I talk about it. Why didn't I get involved in it? Find out about it instead of being the recluse. Being the recluse is not going to get you anywhere when we're stepping into a world that is about, it's not about the introvert anymore. It's not about sitting home and wrapping the blanket around you with a cup of tea. It is getting out there. It is being seen. And that's what it's all about. And we have to look at it and work at it. Now, 99.9% of all of you guys are manifestor generators, and you're different types of it. Yes, but you have, what I love is that you guys have the energy to fucking do it. You're not a reflector or a projector. Reflectors can only work with the moon cycles, right? They are not ones who sort of like, "Oh, maybe I need to," and because being a reflector is hard because you have to, you really have to work with the moon cycles. If you don't work with the moon cycles, reflectors can get very sick. Projectors have to regenerate themselves. They can't go full steam ahead, 8 hours a day, boom, 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 boom. No, they have to take time to really find a flow. And if they don't find that flow, it can be very difficult for them. But those of you who are manifestor generators, and getting out there and doing it, I feel like, yeah, you guys can do it. Yeah, sometimes you have to wait to respond, but it's not that you sit there and do fuck all. And that's where this moon's coming in. It's saying you can't sit around and do fuck all. It's like, how am I connecting? Who am I connecting with? What am I doing? Am I on LinkedIn? And how am I connecting with the people on LinkedIn? Am I letting people know what I'm doing? Or am I, whoops, or whoop, I'm back. Or am I just sitting around hiding? And that's part of it, right? It's getting yourself out there and doing the work. And I see, because the thing is that for me, being a psychic and being an intuitive and all of that, when I see people, it's just like I see your potential. I see what the fuck you could be doing. But my frustration comes in because I see many of you are just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm just like, okay, I could give you a list of to do it, but you're hiding away. You're hiding. You got to stop hiding. This moon is not about hiding. This moon is about getting out there and connecting. This energy that's coming in, this is about revisiting a lot of things that we have to look at in our lives when Pluto goes back there. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fucking easy. That Pluto at 29 degrees is going to be chaotic. It's going to be frustrating. That's why I said I don't know if there's going to be an election in the United States. I cannot tell you who's going to be the next president of the United States. If it is Trump, it's not going to be for very long. It's just it, and that's where the astrology is. It's just fucking crazy mess. And that's same here in Canada. It's going to be a fucking crazy mess when it comes into the fall. And this is why it's so important to come back. We got to revisit, okay, what's in my house? Who's coming into my house? How am I connecting with the people in my house? Because we can sit and we can hide away. And I'm very good. I'm water. I'm a Scorpio. I can sit and fucking hide away, and I can look at a lot of the deceit and the underhandedness of the world very easily. 'Cause I'm a Scorpio. We do that kind of shit. but it's to step out and take that step and say, "Yeah, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do." If I need to look for something and I can't find it, like the thing is, wow, I put my application, well, fuck, I can't get it. Why don't I get out connecting with people? Talking to people is so, so important. And that's going to be the biggest piece. If you're going to sit and whine and cry, and I can whine and cry too, that, oh, fuck, nothing's working for me. Look at this. I mean, there's some things and hoops I have to jump through because of my situation. And definitely, yeah, I'm going to jump through it. I'm going to fill that form out. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go out there. That's what I'm going to do. Right? That's what we have to do. Sometimes we might be limited because we might be physically limited, but we may not be mentally limited. So this is the time. Get a pen and paper out, get journaling, get writing, get doing something, writing the ideas, creating the workshops if you want to start teaching. And that's going to be the whole piece to it, right? And instead of sitting there and wondering, like, oh, well, maybe this full moon is an ass kicker. It's not one, this moon is not a moon to sit back and go, la, 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 la. No, this moon is like, we had two fucking moons in Capricorn. We're not going to have a full moon in Cancer this year. This is an ass kicker. This is a wake up. This moon gets you to say, what the fuck am I doing? What is it that I really need to look at? And with everything at the very edge, it's really edgy. It's scary as fuck because what's ahead is a dark forest and we don't know everything in the dark forest. We don't, and it looks scary. We're going to hear sounds. We're going to feel things that don't feel normal. Because we're entering into an abnormal world. We're entering into a world of things that and people who have I'm going to say mutants and mutant humans and how things have been altered within our world and how we have all and I'm going to say all of us are going to be transforming into this world in different ways. So this is where it's like, on a global sense, on a global world, I mean, we're gonna see Europe change in a dramatic way over the next little while, in the next couple years. We're gonna be seeing, where you with the astrology, whoever invades first is usually the bad guy for whatever means they did it for, right? And that's a huge one as well. So here's a wake-up call for all of us. If you're wanting a moon reading, or if you want to um, book a reading, definitely get a hold of me. I'm going to leave it at that because there's a lot more that's going on within the world right now that, as I said, I got to be careful what I say on here and how I say it. One of the things, if I'm going to, one thing, if you did get the shot, don't tell anybody. Don't say anything to anybody. Just leave it at that. It is what it is. Um, if you are watching this and you are living in the United States and you have children between the ages of 18 and 26, um, I would definitely get them off of all social media. Even if they want to be on it, change their fucking name. Um, this is where you really have to think outside the box when it comes to all of this stuff. It's um, it it is a huge wake up. That's all I gotta say. Huge wake up for all of it. And this moon is one. So, well, There we go. Okay. Um, moon readings should come out later on today, and I will be doing some tomorrow. I'm gonna split it up into 2 days. So, one because of the heat. The heat's pretty bad. So, let's pull some cards. I love a new deck of tarot. They just feel so good. I haven't used this deck too much. Yeah, so conflict. So, yeah, there's going to be conflict. There's going to be misunderstanding. People are going to misunderstand what you say. You're going to misunderstand what other people say. So be aware, and be aware of how your ego is reflecting on that, right? So if your ego's getting out of hand and like, "Rawr," take a step back with everything. Don't get your shit in a knot. So just take a step back. And yeah, it's gonna take a bit to really find that truth, that intuition of where what it is and who you are. Because with the king being reversed, it's sometimes we have to go more into the intellect and get over how we are feeling, or get over how we think it should feel. I got a stupid fly here. And how we think it should feel, right? And with that, at the end, is like to know that yeah, we're going to be blocking off a lot, and there's a lot there that's going to be blocked off, but I feel like there's a conflict that we're probably having with inside ourselves, a conflict that is coming through the collective consciousness, through everything else that is happening within the world, and we are trying to figure it out. We're trying to, you know, sometimes we're trying to emotionally go through it, but instead of, trying to sort of feel our way through it, we have to come in through an intellectual way. And we'll have to look at this, and because Capricorn, yeah, it is a feminine sign, but it's also a sign that, okay, I need to look at this intellectually. I need to look at this, rationally, and not just sort of feel my way through and hope for the best. This isn't about hoping for the best. This is about getting the shit done and doing it, and um connecting with what you need to connect with in order to create what you want to create. Opportunity is getting slimmer and slimmer with how people are wanting to do and what they are wanting to do in the world. So it's like, what is it that I need to connect with? How am I going to connect with people? Um, and going from there. If you're an IT person and stuff like that, which is, yeah, that's an, we'll talk about that on a later date. On this whole thing that just happened with the global shutdown and stuff, and where the servers are, which is quite interesting because the servers, yeah. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. I got to go. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all you say, and all you be, and all you do. Thank you for being a part of my community, and blessings to everybody. And you guys have the power within you. So, utilize that power. Utilize that power. Do it. Got it. You guys are awesome.